So good afternoon again, and thank you for attending this webinar today regarding road design with InfraWorks 360. Just a brief background about myself. My name is Mohammad Abou Assali. I'm a civil engineer by background, and I worked in the construction industry for 6 years before joining Autodesk 3 years ago as an infrastructure technical specialist based out of the Dubai office. So before we carry on with the presentation or the webinar today, I'm just gonna ask you please to fill in one simple poll. So what infrastructure design tools are you currently using in your organization? Is it AutoCAD Civil 3D? Is it InfraWorks, AutoCAD, or others? So please pick one of those choices. Okay, so we'll carry on now. We start always with this BIM slide. I think most of you are already familiar with it. I just want to mention. Okay. So first, let me just close the poll and carry on. Okay. So you're already aware about this BIM slide from Autodesk. What I just want to highlight here is that BIM is an intelligent model-based process. And throughout this process of the project lifecycle, we want to talk today about InfraWorks 360, a major design and communication tool that covers the planning up till the detailed design stage of any civil engineering project. Here I want to focus on the importance of having such tools in hand like InfraWorks 360. As you can see from this McLeamy curve, we have the cost of changes, which increases heavily as we move throughout the project, whereas the ability to impact cost and performance decreases on the other side. These are well-known concepts from project management. What we're trying to do with InfraWorks 360 and other BIM-related tools from a shift from investing a lot into the detailed design stage and having all of this information, effort, and investment being put into the preliminary or conceptual design, where the impact of having more informed decisions and impacting the cost and performance is high, and the cost of doing changes is currently minimal. Okay, so what is InfraWorks 360? Very briefly, it's a 3D modeling and visualization design tool that enables you to create 3D models up to city scales, visualize those models in many different ways, as we'll see later, analyze the design that you're designing within InfraWorks 360, evaluate the quantities and the cost, and basically being able to communicate that design intent with the stakeholders. What you see to the very right of the screen is just a simple screenshot showing you the user interface, the friendly user interface of InfraWorks. And at the very top of the screen, top left corner, we have what we call the fly out icons. One is for the basic features, the eye features. Then we have the road module, the bridge, and the drainage module. For today's webinar, I'm going to be talking about the capabilities and features available within the road module. The upcoming webinar in a few months will cover the bridge and drainage module as well. In today's webinar, I'm going to talk about the capabilities available in terms of civil and road design, and I've classified them into 4 major points. So first, I'm going to talk about how we can create context, and then how we can plan and design within that context. Second, I'll move into the different ways of visualizing the project, not only for communicating the design intent with the stakeholders, but also to be able as designers to understand the design, make design changes on the fly, and communicate them later on. Third is design performance, being able to analyze the design we're designing in real time, and then evaluate the cost by having more accurate quantity takeoffs. And last but not least, we move into the Civil 3D platform, where we talk about the full integration between InfraWorks and Civil 3D. So let's get started. First, in planning and designing in context, InfraWorks 360 is a very powerful platform that can read data from too many different sources. So we talk about 3D models, Revit models, SketchUp, basically any 3D model that you can think of, AutoCAD, DWG, whether 2D or 3D, land XML files, point clouds, raster data from too many different file formats, even shape files from GIS like Esri, SQLite, and DGN from MicroStation, Bentley. As you can see, the software is very intelligent because the data is georeferenced, so it can superimpose or overlay the different data coming from different data sources to create the BIM 3D model that you see at the very bottom. Also, it connects to many data sources, so you can connect to Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, WFS, or even any generic database where you can set the mapping and do the connection yourself the way you like. Now, we talk about creating data free of charge. So this is a very powerful feature from InfraWorks 360. It's called Model Builder. Basically, anywhere on Earth, all what you have to do, just type in the city or the area of interest, select that area of interest using a polygon, a square, or even having a different shape coming from a shape file. Once you select that area of interest, which can go up to 200 square kilometers, just give it a name. In this case, we're selecting, for example, the city of Cape Town in South Africa. Asking the software to create the model. Within a few minutes, you will receive a notification by email, and the thumbnail will show up on your InfraWorks home screen. Click that thumbnail, and the model will download within a couple of minutes. And you will see in a second what level of detail we're able to get free of charge from InfraWorks 360. This is the model that you're going to get for your area of interest. Once we zoom in, you will be able to see that we have all the terrain modeled in there with the satellite imagery draped on top, along with the road network, the buildings, and any water bodies like seas, rivers, or lakes. This is pretty much what we need to kickstart the conceptual or preliminary design of any road project. Now, definitely, we're reading those sources from many different this data from too many different sources, and here I shall mention specifically OpenStreetMap. With the latest releases of InfraWorks, all the roads that you get inside of the your model are tagged or linked to data source online. So if you want to check, for example, when was a certain road created or updated, just click on it, and it will take you there to the web page online to check what was the date when it was updated. In this case, it was 3 years ago. So this gives you more confidence and more accuracy about the existing data that you want to plan or design in. Also, we're not designing just on top. Here, I'm just showing you one example of the integration between ServiceVD and InfraWorks. We're getting the geological conditions in terms of different strata and different material from ServiceVD. We're exporting that into InfraWorks, and this helps us in the planning and design phase of any road or bridge or even tunnels. As you can see, I'm importing here the boreholes with different material, and because InfraWorks is very visually compelling and powerful, you will see in a second that I can turn on or off the terrain opacity, and I can start to check the locations of those boreholes and how would they affect my design later on. So here we're moving from conceptual to engineering view, and as you can see, I have direct feedback about the substrata conditions. The same goes with the whole layer of different material. On the very right of the screen, we have, for example, a silty or a clayey material that you want to avoid, import it from ServiceVD, and then start your design process. Also, in terms of creating the content, leveraging existing vector data using DWG Overlay. This feature was introduced last year, and it's a very powerful feature because we all know we live in the world where we have too many 2D CAD data that we want to leverage inside of the model. It's now available. We have many correlation and control opacity tools to make the best use out of those 2D data drawings that we have. The same goes for raster, and InfraWorks 360 can read from tens of raster file formats. You're able to place those in context, rotate them, correlate them using 3 different reference points, even if they're not georeferenced. Add textures to your designs from different PNG files, even superimpose or overlay 2 or 3 or any number of DWG files or raster files. And you're able to control not only the scaling of those files, but also in the Model Explorer, you're able to, as we have in AutoCAD, to turn on one layer or turn it off and change the sequence on which these layers show up in your model, which one has more priority than the other, as you can see in the video there. Now, we're done designing or creating the context or the existing conditions. Let's start by showing some of the major design capabilities inside of InfraWorks. Here we're using the road module. All what you have to do, just pick the road type, local, collector, arterial, and highway, and those are linked to AASHTO standards 2011. You pick the road style, and then by just singly clicking the starting point and then clicking the points forward, the software on the fly will create the road alignment for you. So here we're talking about the horizontal manipulation of the road design. As you can see, we have all the grips for the PIs, for the curves, for the tangency points. And once we're designing within the standard, the software gives us blue curves, confirming that we are designing within the standard. If we want to change the grips or edit the curve radius, as you can see, we have either the parameters, which we can input ourselves, or we have the sliders, or visually we can move the grips back and forth for any modifications required. So this is very quickly the capabilities available within InfraWorks in terms of horizontal manipulation. Once you do anything, everything updates, and the total length and the quantities as well. Let's move into vertical manipulation. Here, once we talk about the profile. So also within the road module, we have what we call the profile viewer. Select any design road inside of InfraWorks and click on the profile view. The profile view pops up in the very bottom of the screen. Here you can manipulate each and every of the PVIs along with the curves, the vertical curves. As you can see, any manipulation in terms of the profile directly updates into changes in the 3D model of the road, along with the grading and the quantities as well. If I'm not happy with the profile, as I've done there, just right-click, recreate profile, and the software automatically will create the best fit for you on the fly to minimize definitely the cut and fill. Now, moving forward, once we create any road or any highway, we're always considering the quantities involved and want to check for grading zones. So this is a new feature that was introduced also with the latest 2 releases of InfraWorks. Not only we'd have the capability of specifying the grading and the grading material, but also with the latest release, you're able to split those grading zones and have transitions of gradings, apply certain material, and based on the specifications for the cut and fill of that material, everything in 3D updates. If you have a difference between the stability slopes of 2 materials, now with the latest release, you're able to add a transition between those 2 grading materials, and the software will do it for you on the fly. This is very important because all of those quantities and 3D manipulations of the terrain will be transferred or carried over to Civil 3D for detailed design later on. So as you can see from this library to the right, we have built-in materials with cut and fill slopes, and you can use either the ones that are in the library, or you can create the materials of your choice with their specifications as you wish. So we've created a road. What about creating an intersection? So intersections are created very easily in InfraWorks on the fly and in 3D, and based on the AASHTO design standard. As you've seen, we've just clicked 2 points. Once we click into the centerline of a road, the intersection is created. If we have an intersection that's existing, we can turn it directly into a roundabout, change from one design standard like Federal Highway standard, for instance, to UK standard, change the type of the roundabout the way we wish. And InfraWorks as well supports left-hand and right-hand driving conditions. Once you pick one of those, the model directly updates. Also, for the roundabout and intersection design within InfraWorks, everything is parametric, and we have gizmos and capabilities to modify those design objects the way we like. So we have a lot of vertical and horizontal gizmos depending on the way how we look at things. If we're looking at plan, we get to change the alignment. If we're looking at profile, we change the profile objects or parameters. Here what you're seeing, some gizmos for the roundabout, we're changing the apron width, we're changing, for example, the diameter of the roundabout, along with the center island or the splitting islands. So a lot of capabilities and flexibility in terms of design are available inside of InfraWorks 360. Also, in terms of intersections, we are able to model staggering intersections, and by just modifying some of the what we call the road marking, just by checking the road markings, we can modify the type of that intersection, whether we have a closed median or an open median. So as you can see, it's very visual. You just pick one lane and then you change the type of the traffic going on that lane. Just to give you an example, this is a very simple T junction, and here we're just changing the road marking of the approach that's downstream, going left or going right. Just gonna restrict it to go right. Once we do that and update, as you can see, directly the 3D model updates and the median is instantly closed now. Also, with the latest releases of InfraWorks, we're having additional capabilities. In this case, not just creating, for example, simple intersections or complex intersections. Now we're able to create ramps. So with simple manipulations, by moving the gizmos more than or less than 45 degrees, the intersection turns into a simple ramp. And here we have the flexibility of changing the number of lanes to mimic a certain existing conditions or a certain design in hand. So by setting, for example, the lanes going backward to 0, we have just traffic going one way and the others merging into it. And the same goes for regarding the widening lane and the accelerating lane. So here we have a widening, which we have gizmos for, and we have parameters which we can influence or type in on the fly, and we have the type of the transition for the accelerating lane. So from within the asset card of any object, 3D design object inside of InfraWorks, we can influence that very easily. As you can see, once we click on the acceleration lane, we have tangent, curve, tangent, we have spirals, we have all of the possible curve, reverse curve, and many others to manipulate that design in 3D. Also, with the latest 2 releases of InfraWorks, we're now capable with certain road styles to create or add a left or right turn center lane. So depending on the road style and if the median there allows for adding that center lane, we're able on the fly using the gizmos to create that center lane to go left or right as we like. Also, for some people always ask me about what if we want to create content, or what if we want to change the standard library of road styles that's available there. It's very easy. So basically, either you can just drag and drop into the road to change the road style into one of the existing ones, or else we can use what we call, if I move here forward, we use the road style editor. And here you have the full flexibility to change the median, the right-hand side, the left-hand side, even add decorations, change the width of the lane, add whatever you like in 3D. So if I add here some bollards, for instance, and then I add some warning signs, I can move them left and right. As you can see, I've changed it here. And then once I hit the exit button, it's already saved in my library. What I will do in a second is just drag and drop that new road style into my design road and see how things will update in 3D. So think of the road style editor as the sub-assembly or the sub-assembly composer inside of Civil 3D, but this is much more easier to handle with automatic targeting for the automatic mapping for the targets. Now, once we want to go one step further and we want to have complex designs of roads or add certain areas that have certain designs, like for example geometry, we have what we call component roads. They're very powerful. They allow us, in this case, for instance, to add a bus off lane, so bus stop for this residential development. And not only we can draw that area the way we wish, we have gizmos, we have also 3D feedback on the fly. We also can use, for example, the city furniture, which is a library built in within InfraWorks, to drag and drop 3D objects into our model to make it more visually compelling. Also, with component roads, the good thing about it is that you can add road decorations or road objects any way you like. So from the very right to the very left, here, for instance, we selected a tree. We can select a New Jersey barrier or a safety barrier and place it on any part of the road from a certain station to another station. And the good thing about it is that we can save those editings as templates for our later projects later on to save on time and effort. So with all of those capabilities to edit, design, manipulate roads in plan or profile, it's very possible to create complex interchanges with just InfraWorks itself or in combination with Civil 3D. I'm just showing you some examples from some of our customers worldwide. So some complex interchanges designed inside of InfraWorks. Also, we have some layout capabilities for rail tracks. So we have built-in styles for on-the-ground rail tracks, elevated ones, and as well as tunnel rail tracks. So as you can see here also, they integrate with the existing roads and create what we call the crossings in 3D. The same here, for example, we're sketching a tunnel rail track inside of this hill or mountain, and on the fly, the software will create the whole alignment with all of the necessary gizmos and show me the tunnel shape and style in 3D. Once we're done, we can use what we call storyboards to simulate driving through or going from one station to the other inside of InfraWorks. The tracks were designed in InfraWorks, and what you see to the sides could have been designed, for example, in Revit or any other 3D building design software. Now, let's move into project visualization and design alternatives. We as designers need to have different ways of visualizing the design. And for those of you who use Civil 3D, you know that we have the 2D wireframe, we have the isometric, we have the conceptual, and etc. The same thing applies to InfraWorks. So here we have the conceptual, we have the engineering view, and we have also the capability of creating our own views depending on our design needs. In this case, we're creating a 2D wireframe, and we can highlight or tick on, tick off certain features within the model to be shown on the fly. Also, with the latest releases, we're able as designers to view the cross-sections of any design or component road, and the cross-section updates whenever we hover our mouse along the alignment of that road. So we have key stations set out along the route of that road, and moving forward, the cross-section updates with the slopes, with the different lanes, and even shows us the super elevation and other design parameters. Also, within the viewing capabilities of InfraWorks, we're able to bring in existing utilities or even sketch or design a few utilities inside of InfraWorks. And with setting the terrain opacity to less than 50%, we're able to view what's underneath in terms of manholes, pipes, electrical cables, and etc. This helps the designers avoid creating any designs of roads or tunnels that clash or hit any of those existing utilities. In the latest release of InfraWorks, we're now able, like in Civil 3D, to check the contours and have 3D parametric annotations. So with a single click of the road right-of-way, we have a just tick of a button to display, as you can see here to the very right, display contours. And not only we're able to show those contours in 3D, but also we're able to change the minor intervals of them, 1 meter, 2, 5, etc., as per our own requirements. The same goes with annotations. Every design object related to roads has its own annotations, and those annotations change from plan to profile. So once I look from plan, I'll have, for example, the PIs because I'll be modifying the alignment, whereas once I look into the profile view, I'll be changing the vertical curves and the profile as such. So we click on a certain lane, we check the point of tangency, we have a widening lane, we check, for example, what is the widening distance, what is the curvature there, etc., etc. Also, with the latest release of InfraWorks 360, we have now the capability to add right-of-way, to have parcels and easements. And right-of-ways are very important for designers because, as you can see in the screen over here in the window, that those update as we move along the alignment of that road. And it tells us, it informs us as designers whether our, for example, grading is going beyond the right-of-way, we're affecting any nearby areas or alignment or the drawing of those right-of-ways. We have now better capability to change those alignments of right-of-ways to make them either as angles or have curves or smooth curves, and on the fly change them the way we like or as per our own requirements. So which design proposal is more visually compelling for you and for the stake owner? Is it the 2D or the plan sheets or the interactive 3D model? It's definitely the 3D model. With InfraWorks 360, we're able to generate snapshots, and you can set the quality and the number of pixels or resolution of these snapshots. We're also able to generate different alternatives or proposals, what have you, for buildings, for utilities, and even for road design projects. It's very easy, and it has a very powerful technology to save those proposals within the least possible data size. So just to give you an idea here, for example, we have an example of creating different roads. We have a bridge being created. We're adding, for example, as you can see, we have different alternatives, intersection 1, intersection 2, bridge number 1. So different alternatives in 3D saved as proposals. Once we save those proposals, we're able within the proposals manager to check what is the effect of those proposals on our existing conditions. For example, here we know, for example, that we've added 2 bridges. So this proposal includes 2 new additional bridges. In terms of roads, we have 20, modified 3, etc., etc. So it gives us direct feedback about the effect of any proposal on our conditions or even quantity takeoffs. A quick example about creating proposals is this one from the city of Fet in Norway. As you can see, done in InfraWorks 360. They've created 17 road alternatives and 8 different designs, and they were able to visualize, design those, communicate them, and visualize driving through those roads and alternatives in 3D in real time. There are many other success stories about projects worldwide that have used InfraWorks 360, and I encourage you to go online and check for those later on. Okay, so we've seen one example of how to drive throughout a road. There is a very powerful feature inside of InfraWorks called Storyboards, and as you can see, with very few clicks, we just ask the software to create an animation from a design road, zoom in to the design road of interest, select it, hit enter, and on the fly, as you can see at the very bottom, InfraWorks 360 has created the major frames and all of the intermediary frames to create a smooth animation of driving on that design road. We hit the play button, and as you can see, we're driving in 3D. You can specify definitely what lane or what area of the road you're driving in, along with the driving speed. And finally, and most importantly, you can export that animation into any video file format, set the resolution, the number of frames per second, etc., etc. Okay, now I would like to move into the third point of the webinar, and I want to talk about the design analysis and cost evaluation. There are many built-in design analysis tools inside of InfraWorks. There are thematic maps, like checking for elevation, creating slope thematic maps. We have site distance analysis, same like we have in 3D, but this is more visually compelling with additional features. We're able also to get on-the-fly quantity takeoffs for roads in terms of cut and fill, earthwork quantities, along with structural steel and concrete for bridges, as you can see at the very bottom right corner of the screen. Also, as designers, we would like sometimes to have a cost estimate of the design in hand, so we're able to save our basic unit costs inside of InfraWorks, and then later on using some optimization tools like the profile optimization and corridor, we can generate full detailed reports about the profiles, the existing condition, the total project cost, the cost per linear meter, for instance, and even showcase the different stations with their cross sections, and finally the volume report with a cut fill at each and every station for that design. We also have many different ways to measure things within InfraWorks. We have multiple point distance measurement, we have path distance, we have the rangefinder, and recently we have the 2D distance and slope. So for example, we have a hill that we want to check the approximate slope of it. By just clicking 2 points, we have the distance horizontally, vertically, and the slope of that hill. So more and more ways of checking your existing conditions and having a better informed design. Here we're checking, for instance, the side distance analysis. I cannot cover it all here because it's pretty much detailed. So let's suppose we have an intersection. We just pick the design speed for that intersection, and on its own it will pick the existing conditions. You select, for instance, from what lane to what lane, or from what approach to what approach you will be driving, and the software on the fly will create highlights in 3D for any objects that are obstructing the vision of the drivers on that road. We have different color criteria. So blue, it means it's okay. Yellow is something that we have to check and take care of, and red highlights any objects or even grading or fill material that's there that is maybe creating a incident or accident possibility. Also within the analysis tools, we have very powerful traffic simulation and analysis. Here on the fly, we can, for example, check the bottlenecks like roundabouts and intersections. We have for example, the average delay, we have the queue length. And let's suppose we're a road designer, we want to add, for example, a widening lane to this T intersection. On the fly, we do that by the editing tools. We add one, and once we're done from the design, within a few minutes, we run the simulation again, and we get a blue box proving that the problem has been resolved. No more average delay and no more queue. So this is the power of InfraWorks, creating models in 3D, being able to change them on the fly, run the analysis, and report on it later. Also within the toolkit of simulation analysis, we have mobility simulation, and this is where we go one step further by analyzing the multimodal transportation network. So anything related to buses, trains, cyclists, or even pedestrians. We can analyze all of that together in one go. Check, for example, how much time, how many steps it will take one passenger or one person to go one place to another using multi modes of transportation. Also, in terms of analysis and cost evaluation, we want to talk about the earthwork quantities. And with the latest release of InfraWorks, latest two releases of InfraWorks, we have what we call here the quantity takeoff manager. Once we select any design road and ask it to calculate the cut and fill, the cut and fill are highlighted at the bottom of the screen, cut in red and fill in green. We're also able to check the quantities involved between one station and the other. And most importantly, generate an Excel or CSV file report highlighting all of those quantities, not only for the road itself, but now also we include intersections, bridges, or any other components of that road. So many major advancements in the field of quantity takeoff for InfraWorks. Now, another cool feature is what we call the profile optimization, and here where we ask the software and we leverage the power of the cloud to optimize the existing condition or the sketch of a road that we've sketched in InfraWorks to have the best optimal profile that will minimize the cost and cut and fill, and definitely minimize the total cost of the project. So just to give you an idea, we have sketched a simple road along this path. We use the road module, and from there the analysis capabilities. We have the profile optimization. There we input some parameters. We check, for example, what is the design speed, what are the types of roads that we want to use, if we want to have any tunnels, any bridges. For example, if we have a cut that is more than 20 meters, please include a tunnel. If we have a grading or fill more than 30 meters, please include a bridge. So here what we call kind of like generative design. We set up the parameters and the criteria, and we ask the software to optimize the design for us. Once we hit the optimize button, it takes a minute or two for the profile optimization usually to create that optimization. And from within the job monitor, you can check the updates there and check the status of that job. Once completed, you will have the tick sign there. You can open the report and check all of the quantities and the diagrams involved. The same thing is, once you hit the result, it will ask you if you want to save the new optimized road profile into some other proposal, so that you can have the original design versus the optimized one, and you can show it to your colleagues or the stakeholder later on. That's from the perspective of the profile. So we already have our own horizontal alignment. We just want to optimize the profile. What if we as designers, we want to optimize the whole design in terms of profile and alignment? This is where we can make use of the corridor optimization in InfraWorks. It's very basic. You just select the starting point of the road, the ending point of that road. You may specify some avoidance areas that you want to avoid throughout the design, and set up some parameters the same way that we've done in the profile optimization. Then you hit the optimize corridor button, and the software on its own will check for all possible alternatives in terms of horizontal and vertical, and then once done will present you with the most optimized design. So once it's there, it will also generate a full report along with, for instance, in this case, they've created a bridge because we have a river and we have a huge quantity of fill and tunnels, and then it will show that most optimized design in 3D within your InfraWorks 3D model, which you can definitely move on to Civil 3D later. Finally, let's talk about the integration between Civil 3D and InfraWorks. You can open your InfraWorks models inside of Civil 3D. If you have Civil 3D 2016, InfraWorks 2016 and beyond, directly on the fly, you have the InfraWorks 360 button in Civil 3D where you can open the model directly. You just have to set up a few parameters, like for instance, sometimes change the coordinate system and select what type of data you want to import from InfraWorks. Is it the terrain and roads? Is it the terrain, roads, and bridges? Do you want to include the utilities? Yes or no, it's up to you. And the interaction between those two software is bidirectional. So we open InfraWorks models inside of Civil 3D, and we do open or link InfraWorks models, Civil 3D models, sorry, inside of InfraWorks. There are many ways to do it. We can do it by using IMX files. We can open the models themselves. We can export shapefiles from Civil 3D. It's a long topic, which I'm happy to cover with whoever is interested later on. So just to give you an idea, we have here a bridge and a road with terrain inside of InfraWorks, and we're opening the model directly within 2 clicks inside of Civil 3D, setting up the parameters, selecting what entities to be imported, and as you can see, the terrain is there, all of the triangulation, the existing networks, and the Civil 3D representation of the 3D model of that bridge. If you like to attend the second webinar, the upcoming webinar about bridges, I'll show to you how we can move those bridges from InfraWorks to Revit to detail the design structurally and create Revit families. Now on the very right, we have roundabouts, and the part about roundabouts is that they go into Civil 3D as full corridors. So you have all the features there to move on with the detailed design and do all of the necessary changes within Civil 3D. Another video to show you the direct interaction between the two. Here we have a model in InfraWorks that's opened in Civil 3D. The road designer makes some alignment changes, regenerates the corridor, saves the model in Civil 3D, and then goes back into InfraWorks, say for visualization purposes. And all what he has to do as a civil designer is just click on that Civil 3D model, hit refresh or relink, and everything updates in 3D. So InfraWorks, that's why it's being used as a visualization and communication tool for Civil 3D designs. Now, I want to ask you all please to check the InfraWorks 360 gallery. So if you go online on Google, for example, you type in InfraWorks 360 gallery, you will be prompted with a web page that has lots and lots of projects worldwide done in InfraWorks. Some of them have 3D models, some of them have videos, VR experiences or panorama shots that you can check, and it gives you an idea about what is being done and what's actually possible using InfraWorks and Civil 3D in some other instances. Also, we have the Autodesk InfraWorks 360 community page. It's a very powerful source to empower you with like information about the tips and clicks. What are the latest features inside of InfraWorks? What are the upcoming webcasts coming from the product development team? It's a pretty much full source with a lot of information and learning material. So please have a look at it at your leisure. And for those of you who would like to try InfraWorks 360, Autodesk provides users to download the free trial for 30 days with the full capabilities, meaning you will have access to the roads, bridges, and the drainage module. And you will have also what we call some default cloud credits to run any of the required analyses within InfraWorks. Like, for example, transportation analysis, or as we'll see later, any analysis related to drainage. It's worth mentioning that InfraWorks 360 is part of the Autodesk Architecture, Engineering, and Construction Collection, what we call AEC Collection from Autodesk. So this full portfolio has almost all of the design tools that any designer would need for any civil or infrastructure project. I shall mention here Revit, so you can do any of the structural modeling in Revit. You can do the design and the communication of roads in InfraWorks 360. You can do your clash detection and management and 4D, 5D simulation inside of Navisworks Manage. Vehicle tracking is used for doing swept path analysis, 3ds Max for high-end realistic visualizations and renderings. We have AutoCAD Civil 3D, the well-known detailed design tool for roads, and definitely we have Map 3D for GIS manipulations, as well as AutoCAD raster design, which helps you move raster design data into vector, as well as AutoCAD utility design, which helps you also model and analyze your utilities, like, for example, overhead lines of electricity networks and street lighting networks as well. The link to that AEC collection is at the very bottom. Please have a look at it, and feel free to send us your questions at any point in time. So today we've covered the road design with InfraWorks 360. We've already covered the basic functionalities and capabilities of InfraWorks 360 in October 2016. The upcoming webinars that we're planning for the few months are bridge and drainage design, and then followed by InfraWorks 360 for architects, urban and master planners, and finally another webinar targeted for traffic simulation and analysis. So please feel free to attend all of those upcoming webinars when you receive the notification. Some useful links. So here we have some BIM Autodesk links, the link to the AEC collection. We do have a very useful infrastructure YouTube channel where we usually post videos about workflows between different infrastructure design tools like Civil 3D, Navisworks, and InfraWorks. And we have an InfraWorks 360, dedicated YouTube channel where it has all of the capabilities, features, and workflows with the other Autodesk tools. So feel free to have a look at them at your free time. Thank you very much for attending today. My email address is stated there. So it's my name, Mohammad.familyname Abou Assali @autodesk.com. Feel free to send me all your questions, and you can actually send your questions using the text box, the chat box there, and I'll be happy to reply on them right away. Okay, so we have a question about, I would like to ask about the electrical InfraWorks, to what extent it's supported. Okay. Regarding utilities, utilities are designed or modeled using Civil 3D and, for instance, AutoCAD utility design. InfraWorks 360 is used to visualize those in the preliminary or conceptual design and to avoid them while sketching or designing any road or any tunnel. So the purpose out of those utilities is just for visualization and clash avoidance. You can still create some electrical networks, whether underground or overhead lines, but those are just 3D representations of the networks that you have in mind. They're not actually parametric or possible to send them for detailed design later, just for visualization or maybe doing some minor planning. Okay, some other question. In other words, what will I benefit? Okay, so I've answered that. In other words, we cannot extract from the presentation. Okay. So I don't.
This will be sharing.
Okay. So please feel free to send me any questions. If I miss any question, please feel free to send them to me by email, and I will reply to you in due time. Will you share the PDF with links? Actually, you will receive a notification to the recording of this webinar, so you can download it at any point in time, and the links as well. So yes, I'm going to send you those links by email if you like. Okay. For designing electrical networks, the way to go is AutoCAD utility design. What else do we have there?
Traffic simulation, is it part of?
Okay. Traffic simulation, yes, it's part of InfraWorks 360 capabilities. It requires connection to the internet. So the only thing that you need besides InfraWorks 360 is to have some cloud credits to be able to run those simulations and analysis and push them back into your machine for visualization or reporting. Okay. Some more questions? Is it possible to add other country standards into InfraWorks? Yes, definitely. So out of the box, we have a couple of international standards pertaining to AASHTO and some other European or UK standards. But yes, you're able to do that by a simple workflow or workaround. You just copy paste those standards and then change some of the parameters, save them as the standards of your locality or country, and then you can use them directly in all of your projects within InfraWorks 360.
The bridge module and the drainage is separate module, or
okay.
Part of InfraWorks?
InfraWorks 360 now has the road, bridge, and drainage module as basic modules covered. So you don't have to subscribe to any one of those modules as was the case in the past. Okay, and again, InfraWorks 360 is part, along with ServiceVD, is part of the AEC Collection. Okay, thank you very much and have a great day.